This is Quotations of Chairman Mao, Chapter 2, Classes and Class Struggle. Classes struggle. Some classes triumph. Others are eliminated. Such is history. Such is the history of civilization for thousands of years. To interpret history from this viewpoint is historical materialism. Standing in opposition to this viewpoint is historical idealism. Quotation from Castaway Illusions, Prepare for Struggle, August 14th, 1949, Selected Works, Volume 4, page 428. In class society, everyone lives as a member of a particular class, and every kind of thinking, without exception, is stamped with the brand of a class. Quotations from On Practice, July 1937, Selected Works, Volume 1, page 196. Changes in society are due chiefly to the development of the internal contradictions in society. That is, the contradictions between the productive forces and the relations of production, the contradiction between classes, and the contradiction between the old and the new. It is the development of these contradictions that pushes society forward and gives the impetus for the suppression of the old society by the new. Quotations from On Contradiction, August 1937, Selected Works, Volume 1, page 314. The ruthless, the text is missing some words here due to poor printing. I'll have to infer. The ruthless economic exploitation and political oppression of the peasants by the landlord class forced them into numerous uprisings against its rule. It was the class struggles of the peasants, the peasant uprisings and peasant wars that constituted the real motivating force of historical development in Chinese feudal society. Quotation from The Chinese Revolution and the Chinese Communist Party, December 1939, Selected Works, Volume 2, page 308. In the final analysis, national struggle is a matter of class struggle. Amongst the whites in the United States, it is only the reactionary ruling circles who oppress the black people. They can in no way represent the workers, farmers, revolutionary intellectuals, and other enlightened persons who comprise the overwhelming majority of the white people. Statements supporting the American Negroes in their just struggle against racial discrimination by U.S. imperialism, August 8, 1963, People of the World Unite and Defeat the U.S. Aggressors and All Their Lackeys, 2nd edition, pp. 3-4. It is up to us to organize the people. As for the reactionaries in China, it is up to us to organize the people to overthrow them. Everything reactionary is the same. If you don't hit it, it won't fall. This is also like sweeping the floor. As a rule, where the broom does not reach, the dust will not vanish of itself. Quotations from The Situation and Our Policy After the Victory in the War of Resistance Against Japan, August 13th, 1945, Selected Works, Volume 4, page 19. The enemy will not perish of himself. Neither the Chinese reactionaries nor the aggressive forces of U.S. imperialism in China will step down from the stage of history of their own accord. Quotation from Carry the Revolution Through Till the End, December 30th, 1948. Selected Works, Volume 4, page 301. A revolution is not a dinner party or a writing essay. A revolution is not a dinner party or writing an essay or painting a picture or doing embroidery. It cannot be so refined, so leisurely and gentle, so temperate, kind, courteous, restrained, and magnanimous. A revolution is an insurrection. an act of violence by which one class overthrows another. Quotation from Report on an Investigation of the Peasant Movement in Hunan, March 1927. Selected Works, Volume 1, page 28. Chiang Kai-shek always tries to wrest every ounce of power and every ounce of gain from the people. And we? Our policy is to give him tit for tat and to fight for every inch of land. We act after his fashion. He always tries to impose war on the people. One sword in his left hand and another in his right. We take up swords too, following his example. As Chiang Kai-shek is now sharpening his swords, we too must sharpen ours. Quotation from The Situation and Our Policy After the Victory in the War of Resistance Against Japan, August 13, 1945. Selected Works, Volume 4, pp. 14-15. Who are our enemies? Who are our friends? This is a question of the first importance for the revolution. The basic reason why all previous revolutionary struggles in China achieved so little was their failure to unite with real friends in order to attack real enemies. A revolutionary party is the guide of the masses, and no revolution ever succeeds when the revolutionary party leads them astray. To ensure this, we will definitely achieve success in our revolution and will not lead the masses astray, we must pay attention to uniting with our real friends in order to attack our real enemies. To distinguish real friends from real enemies, we must make a general analysis of the economic status of the various classes in Chinese society and of their respective attitudes towards the revolution. Quotations from Analysis of the Classes in Chinese Society, March 1926. Selected Works, Volume 1, page 13. Our enemies are all those in league with imperialism, the warlords, the bureaucrats, the comprador class, the big landlord class, and the reactionary section of the intelligentsia attached to them. The leading force in our revolution is the industrial proletariat. Our closest friends are the entire semi-proletariat and petty bourgeoisie. As for the facilitating middle bourgeoisie, their right wing may become our enemy, and their left wing may become our friend. But we must be constantly on our guard, and not let them create confusion within our ranks. Ibid, page 19. Whoever sides with the revolutionary people is a revolutionary. Whoever sides with imperialism, feudalism, and bureaucrat capitalism is a counter-revolutionary. Whoever sides with the revolutionary people in words only, but acts otherwise, is a revolutionary in speech. Whoever sides with the revolutionary people in deed, as well as in word, is a revolutionary in the full sense. Quotation from the closing speech at the second session of the First National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, June 23, 1950. I hold that it is bad as far as we are concerned if a person, a political party, an army, or a school is not attacked by the enemy. For in that case, it would definitely mean that we have sunk to the level of the enemy. It is good if we are attacked by the enemy, since it proves that we have drawn a clear line of demarcation between the enemy and ourselves. It is still better if the enemy attacks us wildly and paints us as utterly black and without a single virtue. It demonstrates that we have not only drawn a clear line of demarcation between the enemy and ourselves, but have achieved a great deal in our work. Quotations from To be attacked by the enemy is not a bad thing, but a good thing. May 26, 1939. First Pocket Edition, page 2. So when they say First Pocket Edition, presumably they mean of the Little Red Book itself, this being a later edition of the thing that's been extended. We should support whatever the enemy opposes, and oppose whatever the enemy supports. Quotation from Interview with 3 correspondents from the Central News Agency, the Tse-Tung Pao and the Hisin Min Pao, September 16, 1939. Selected Works, Volume 2, page 172. Our stand is that of the proletariat and of the masses. For members of the Communist Party, this means keeping to the stand of the party, keeping to party spirit and party policy. Quotation from Talks at the Yan'an Forum on Literature and Art, May 1942. Selected Works, Volume 2, page 70. After the enemies with guns have been wiped out, there will still be enemies without guns. They are bound to struggle desperately against us, and we must never regard these enemies lightly. If we do not now raise and understand the problem in this way, we shall commit the gravest of mistakes. Quotation from a report to the second plenary session of the 7th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, May 5, 1949. Selected Works, Volume 4, page 364. The imperialists and domestic reactionaries will certainly not take their defeat lying down, and they will struggle to the last ditch. After there is peace and order throughout the country, they will still engage in sabotage and create disturbances in various ways, and will try every day and every minute to stage a comeback. This is inevitable and beyond all doubt, and under no circumstances must we relax our vigilance. Quotation from an opening address at the first plenary session of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, September 21st, 1949. In China, although in the main socialist transformation has been completed with respect to the system of ownership, and although the large-scale and turbulent class struggles of the masses characteristic of the previous revolutionary periods have, in the main, come to an end, there are still remnants of the overthrown landlord and comprador classes. There is still a bourgeoisie, and the remolding of the petty bourgeoisie has only just begun. The class struggle is by no means over. The class struggle between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, the class struggle between the different political forces, and the class struggle in the ideological field between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie will continue to be long and torturous, and at times will even become very acute. The proletariat seeks to transform the world according to its own world outlook, and so too does the bourgeoisie. In this respect, the question of which will win out, socialism or capitalism, is still not truly settled. Quotation from On the Correct Handling of Contradictions Amongst the People, February 17th, 1957, first pocket edition, pages 31 and 32. It will take a fairly long period of time to decide the issue in the ideological struggle between socialism and capitalism in our country. The reason is that the influence of the bourgeoisie and of the intellectuals who come from the old society shall remain in our country for a long time to come, and so too will their class ideology. If this is not sufficiently understood, or is not understood at all, the gravest mistakes will be made, and the necessity of waging the struggle in the ideological field will be ignored. Quotation from Ibid, pp. 52 and 53. In our country, bourgeoisie and petty bourgeoisie ideology, anti-Marxist ideology, will continue to exist for a long time. Basically, the socialist system has been established in our country. We have won the basic victory in transforming the ownership of the means of production, but we have not yet won complete and total victory on the political and ideological fronts. In the ideological field, the question of who will win in the struggle between the proletariat and bourgeoisie has not really settled yet. We still have to wage a protracted struggle against bourgeoisie and petty bourgeoisie ideology. It is wrong not to understand this and to give up ideological struggle. All erroneous ideas, all poisonous weeds, all ghosts and monsters must be subject to criticism. In no circumstance should they be allowed to spread unchecked. However, the criticism should be fully reasoned, analytical, and convincing, and not rough, bureaucratic, metaphysical, or dogmatic. Speech at the Chinese Communist Party's National Conference on Propaganda Work, March 12, 1957, first pocket edition, pages 26 and 27. Both dogmatism and revisionism run counter to Marxism. Marxism must certainly advance. It must develop along with the development of practice and cannot stand idly by. It would become lifeless if it remained stagnant and stereotyped. However, the basic principles of Marxism must never be violated, or otherwise mistakes will be made. It is dogmatism to approach Marxism from a metaphysical point of view and to regard it as something rigid. It is revisionism to negate the basic principles of Marxism and to negate its universal truth. Revisionism is one form of bourgeois ideology. The revisionists deny the differences between socialism and capitalism, between the dictatorship of the proletariat and the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. What they advocate is in fact not the socialist line, but the capitalist line. In present circumstances, revisionism is more pernicious than dogmatism. This is badly translated. One of our current important tasks on the ideological front is to unfold criticism of revisionism. Okay, that had a few typos, but I managed to read through it. IBID, pp. 27-28. Revisionism, or right opportunism, is a bourgeoisie trend of thought that is even more dangerous than dogmatism. The revisionists, the right opportunists, pay lip service to Marxism. They too attack dogmatism, but what they are really attacking is the quintessence of Marxism. They oppose or distort materialism and dialectics, oppose or try to weaken the people's democratic dictatorship and the leading role of the Communist Party, and oppose or try to weaken socialist transformation and socialist construction. After the basic victory of the socialist revolution in our country, there are still a number of people who vainly hope to restore the capitalist system and fight the working class on every front, including the ideological one. And their right-hand men in the struggle are the revisionists. Quotation from On the Correct Handling of Contradictions Amongst the People, February 27th, 1957, first pocket edition, pages 56 through 57. And thus ends Chapter 2. Chapter 3 on Socialism and Communism will begin shortly.